Look at that. We've made some actual chunky progress here. Oh, the side rooms are catching up with the main rooms. What does that mean? Why did that get higher? Which... Because one of them was so far ahead of the other one before, despite me being roughly X far into level. That's a bit odd. So we want to go down to 7 next. That's the actual path. Then we can deal with the statues and what they want. Oh. There's that. So yeah, it's up to 6 now. I'm up here now. Redshift. Hello, me.
Hello, me. It's me again, in this wretched way of life.
Let's go get this guy up here. Look at it glowing. Was it already doing that before? I didn't notice that before. Alright, so solution requires getting red to there. I have blue here. Blue source. Red source. What? My game crashed. Exciting. Well, even with the glimpse I saw, that looked like a pretty straightforward puzzle where I probably just put the laser connector, connect it to all 4 things, and then just walk left and right with it as the other guy, as I walk deeper with the first guy, and then he'll just temporarily open each thing. Anyway, maybe I will update my graphics card and restart my computer since it crashed. Okay, let's try this again. I'm roughly in the same spot-ish. Ish. Boy, I immediately clocked that whole process up front. I could, having only seen it for a moment before I crashed, I could just explain the whole process preemptively. That was a mind bender? It wasn't. That one was really easy. This actually has been, I think, easier than the first game so far. I'm just kind of really abundantly aware of the fact that I've never really had a moment where I'm like, ah, fuck, I'm really stuck. Like, for a long time. I'm gonna have to edit this part out a little bit, because I can't just not make progress for 20 minutes straight. Like, that's a common thing that happens in puzzle games, and it stresses me out a little bit. And it has not happened. And we are this many far, which I don't know how far that is. But there's more game. It can still happen. I'm just, aware of the lack of roadblocks so far. Anyway, what I am noticing is that since updating my graphics card, I am now getting a lot of screen tear. So that's fun, but I don't think it's in the recording. Which raises all new weird questions about how any of this works. If it's not showing up in the recording, but it's showing up on my screen. think there's also been times where I don't get screen tearing, but the audience does, and I'm like, what the fuck? What? How do computers work? It's like how one of the strange details that happens is like when we first started recording Ad Astra for the channel, the first recording stayed on the title screen for a while, and I had to catch it and switch it to display mode or something. And I'm like, how is it recording something that's not on the screen right now? Why is that what OBS is picking up?
About how, in the end, the sea will claim everything. I have no doubt that this is true. In the long history of the human species, entire regions have disappeared under the waves. Places like Beringia and Doggerland still echo in our cultural memories. But we shouldn't forget that life began in the sea. We are the children of the sea. And it's not through floods and ruin that the sea will claim everything, but through us.
We are the children of the sea. He already gave that speech. That's weird. Maybe they created two separate triggers at two of these coast areas and didn't set them up to check if the other one's been done before. I don't know. Chernyshevsky 11. From Arkady Chernyshevsky and Our Likeness, Essays on Humankind Reaching Adulthood. With alarming frequency, our mythological narratives conceptualize our separation from nature as a fall, a punishment for sinning, a loss of innocence, a decline from a golden age. We believe that a better state of humanity is possible, but insist that this state must be in the past, and yet our historical experience has been the exact opposite. For all the horrors of modern war, and they are considerable, relatively few people today have to suffer the unspeakable agonies that our ancestors went through on a daily basis. It is doubly ironic that we place our golden ages in the past, but very rarely ever consider what life was actually like for the people whose genes we carry. How cold they were, how hungry, how frightened of the cruelty of nature. What unspeakable pains they must have experienced when they were sick or injured. How many of their children they had to lose, unable to help, begging the heavens for mercy and never receiving an answer. The past is a slowly receding tidal wave of grief. 5358. The battle for human and emancipation is not yet won, and the path has been far from straightforward. And yet, but a few thousand years have eliminated a great deal of suffering that before must have seemed unavoidable and eternal. Some still suffer, their lives held ransom by politics and economics, but at least now we know that a better world is truly possible, and it lies in the future. Founding 4. Hypatia's Journal number 4. On the founding of New Jerusalem. Day 132. We had a bit of an incident today. Nothing major, but it still woke us all up. Sun was away from the camp. Alone. Even though we had agreed that we should always go in teams, and she encountered a group of herbivores that we saw on the first day. Cows, they're called. Apparently our ancestors kept them as livestock. Eustathius says that they squeezed them for liquid, but I find that hard to believe. But I digress. Sun encountered a herd, and just as predicted, the animals were passive at first, friendly even. Sun decided to abandon her survey to study them for a while, which went well, until a group of wolves, formerly dogs, a type of pet, entered the clearing, causing a stampede. Sun is alright, only major scratches to the bodywork and a few torn wires, but it was a close call. I guess we'd gotten a little complacent, a little too comfortable. We'll have to be more careful from now on. More Trevor!
Now I have to talk science fiction for a bit because I love science fiction, but it drives me nuts. There's this cliche that shows up over and over, and every time someone uses it, everyone pretends it's really profound. It goes something like this. A scientist invents something good, but, oh no, it's actually really bad. You could have something that makes your life better. But no, you can't. How dare you even want it? That's hubris. That's playing God. And it's never anything that reflects the real world, right? It's never, oh no, you invented a vaccine for cervical cancer. Oh no, you invented a new class of antibiotics. Oh no, you cured malaria. How dare you? Those diseased mosquitoes are way more important than human lives. How did science fiction become so reactionary? You know, if we all thought this way, you guys wouldn't even exist. At least Alex agrees with me. She has good taste.
That's not a bad point. It's always about the hubris. It's always about something, like some experiment going wrong, because it's like a cheap way to reach the stakes by default. Why does it always have to go that way? Oh, is this the lab? Have I not seen the lab yet? Robot me, who is also a robot. From Quentin to Athena. Dear Founder, I never got to know you. People tell all these stories about you, and I don't know what to believe. Some people say to ask Cornelius. Others say Cornelius is too blind by grief. Some say Byron stands for the truth. Others say he's a fanatic and a radical, and we should listen to the mayor. There doesn't seem to be a way to get a straight answer. Why did you abandon us to this chaos? Why can't you just come back and sort it out? If you're reading these messages, don't you care? From Odam. Dear Founder, thank you for everything you did for us. I am grateful for the life I have, which would not exist without you. I hope wherever you are now, you're at peace. Rodam. Noema Project 5. Successfully deployed. New labs established to avoid interference. First successful duplication in advanced machinery. Data collection analysis, groping in the dark. But QFT fails to account for this. Must rerun trials. Maybe God was just trying to make an apple pie from scratch. Maybe God was just trying to make an apple pie from scratch. What a line. So these are whatever Athena's up to. The Noema Project. Noma Project. This is what she seemingly has been doing since, but we don't know what it is yet. Is it the body recreation? Is it that all these puzzles we're doing were made in the process of inventing whatever she's trying to do? The mechanics, at least.
This looks like it has something to do with energy generation. Am I reading this right?
All these server rooms. How did she get so busy and create so much more than we ever had? By just not limiting herself? From Belzeron to Athena. O great and sacred Founder, I believe I have discovered the truth that our so-called leaders have hidden from us. This absurd and sacrilegious goal they have us working towards, this hubristic completion day, foolishness, was never your true intent. Even this abomination of a city that calls itself New Jerusalem is a deception. Why would you want us to return to the sinful ways of our ancestors, strangling the living soul with steel and concrete? No, it was when you and the first companions lived humbly amongst the splendors of Gaia, having no need for all this wasteful ostentation inherited from our weak and decadent ancestors, that you showed us the true path. After all, why would the progenitor have given us such hardy bodies if she had intended for us to live in unearned luxury? From the very first, we were built to be free from pride and material excess. Your teachings have been obscured and perverted by ideologues, most of all by the traitor Byron, who once was like a son to you. But you should know that there are still those of us who remember the truth and await the blessed day of your return, when surely justice will be meted out and humanity will finally return to its intended path. You remember? Tell me more about what you remember, guy that's number 943. It's a bit of a punchline at the end. Some of us still remember the old days. You were born 50 years ago, which is not long ago by their standards. The shutdown. Maps. The author is Olufemi Kaneda. We assembled on the vast green lawn outside as the reactors began to slowly wind down. The workers were solemn. The activists who had fought against the decommissioning seemed crushed. There was supposed to be a speech, but the spokeswoman had lost her notes. Outside, the protesters cheered. My eyes were drawn to the discarded anti-shutdown banners, endlessly reciting the facts, the statistics on mortality per trillion kilowatts, lowest of all energy sources. The lifespan of a reactor, 70 more years in our case. Minimal land footprint, almost zero emissions, no intermittency. It became a jumble of words, a litany, almost a kind of glossolalia. As far as the protesters outside were concerned, it might as well be an alien tongue. One thing was clear to them, and that was enough. The technology inside this compound was deeply, inherently wrong. It was a sin. I could not help but think of that moment on August 6th, 1945, when the sky erupted above Shima Hospital. My imagination could never fully encompass it. How do you imagine more than 70,000 people annihilated in an instant? An ancestor of mine was in that hospital. He went from being a doctor, a husband, a father, a pacifist stuck in a terrible war, to being a pile of bleached bones covered in rubble, all in a single second. Not by accident, but because of a choice someone made. Not because of a reactor, but because of a bomb. Just 2 days earlier, contradicting his campaign promises, the Prime Minister had suggested that the use of tactical nuclear weapons would be an acceptable risk in the conflict if the conflict continued. Very few seemed to find this particularly shocking or outrageous. They were afraid of reactors, but not of bombs. The spokeswoman gave up on finding her notes. It was starting to rain, and people were walking away. She grabbed the microphone. By the time you regret this, it'll be too late, she said. But honestly, I don't know if I care anymore. Maybe you have it coming. The spokeswoman sounds so bitter. The protesters didn't mean any harm. From their perspective, they were doing good. People always think they're doing good when they get collectively outraged. That doesn't make them right. Collective action can change the world when it's deliberate and based in reason, but it can also become a mental trap, or a societal pressure valve. So now that we know who Athena and Miranda are, it's telling us that they're the ones responding. But there's at least one third character that keeps responding, and we don't know who that is. Prometheus? Byron? Any of these people? A reveal that somebody is in the know that was pretending not to be, maybe? Cliche. From someone to Miranda. A thought-terminating cliche. The author says 5358 again, but that might just be an error message. I think I had said thought-terminating cliche this playthrough. As you continue your reading, there's a useful concept that I would like you to keep in mind. The thought-terminating cliche. This is a type of phrase, often a slogan or a saying, which sounds meaningful, but it really is intended to make you stop thinking. To pick an example from our history, someone in the simulation might say some things like, "It's the will of Elohim," or "It serves the process," and that would be that. Case closed. Who knows how many iterations have never advanced further because they just stopped thinking at that point. Do note, however, that a thought-terminating cliche is not the same as a lie. It may very well contain elements of truth, but those elements are used to keep you from questioning the whole set of assumptions that come with it, which may be partially or totally false. This often takes the form of appealing to something you care about. We must protect X, where X is a nation, a philosophy, public order, or even the planet itself. But while you may agree with that element, all kinds of assumptions may be included about how to protect something, or who to protect it from, and what the end goal of protecting is. If you stop there just because you agree with the surface level statement, the results may be the opposite of everything you wanted. Like those who chose to serve Elohim and in so doing prevented him from achieving his true purpose. The thought-terminating cliche is a very useful term to learn and understand, because it's a very observable part of human behavior is to have a phrase to lean on that sounds incredibly important, but actually just ends the conversation unhelpfully and unproductively, or even counterproductively. But what I noticed though is that when I started saying it more, I would eventually get a few people that are like trying to smugly use it against me whenever they disagree with a point that I have about something. Because I mean, a lot of terms work this way, is that a lot of people will inevitably try to apply it in terms of just like, how do I put this? They would basically just point at anything that they disagreed with me on, or that they thought it was stupid, and then would just call it a thought-terminating cliche, and then I would look at it for a moment, I'm like, that just doesn't match up. That's just not... The thing you're talking about cannot be described that way. That's just not what that means. So I'm amused by the idea that I've seemingly spread this piece of vocabulary to some people because they try to use it against me, but in so doing they display that I have failed to actually communicate the idea to them because they use it very incorrectly. There's a whole ass wall here. I might need to restart my game soon. The visual glitches are getting really out of hand, but I think they're only visible for me. So what can I accomplish up here? There's a me over there, but I can't turn into him. Ah, I can become that one. Gotcha. Okay, so all up here, I just have one really huge line of sight. What's the name of this level again? Drilling party. As there's two different me's separated. Our goal's over there. So it seems like my goal is just to press a button, but I have to probably press the button with the second guy. Or some object I can carry over there. And that's, I take it that guy doesn't really have access to much by default. That's interesting. In certain positions, the level of detail for that thing doesn't render a circle spinning. Oh, weird. I can see it spinning the whole time when I'm over here, but when I look directly at it, it kind of looks static. Huh. Alright, so I don't know what I want to put a hole in, but I guess I can just turn into this guy whenever I want to, so... Button! Okay, I see it. Except, do I? Because it's still not an escape, it's just a hole. Do you have line of sight across? You do. Okay, that's something I can work with. And now I'm outside. Okay. Button. Right. Got a couple of these now. Okay. Once activated by the beam. Then I want to get in. Decent use of that, potentially. Let's go retrieve this real quick. So the beam is connected, so I might need nothing more than to just continue forward. Ah. This button does not hold it from behind. Yeah, I can't go any deeper. Huh. I technically don't need both people to come through because this is here, which kind of suggests that I would use that to put the connector through the wall and press that button. Let's see, I can't take this with me. So I think we need this to connect to here. I've just got to hope that I can get the right spot to make the connection work. There we go. First try. Now I can proceed through. Then go back. And take you here. I'm so good at video games. I keep hearing the theme go like dun dun dun, and then it just kind of stops, I think, usually. But I keep thinking about the theme that plays throughout Baldur's Gate 3. It's like dun 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 dun, which, like, it doesn't show up incredibly frequently in the basic gameplay, so you might not notice it at first, but I think it's pretty drilled into most people's brains, specifically because of the fact that character creation takes 500 years to get through, and the whole time you're playing character creation, you hear that song non-stop. But even if it's not burned in your brain, even if it's not used massively throughout the normal gameplay experience, you hear that jingle so many times. Okay, I gotta restart my computer. I gotta restart my game. It's the visual glitches are really rough right now. Alright, let's try this again with all the glitches that are definitely not gonna keep happening. Right. Ooh, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. Alright, well, I'm just gonna have to tough it out. It's like the closest approximation to what motion sickness feels like, because I don't get that. But it's just a weird, fucked up video. Alright, so blue. Got a connector behind a beam which requires red. Got a box. Got a fan, which I can do the box with you. Boo. Now over here. That's a beam. Think I can jump in there maybe if I tried. That's got a fence I can jump over. That's a... There's a me. There's a ladder there. So you can get around pretty easily with your little dudes, but you can't take stuff with you. So red beam to unlock that is over here. I only see connectors and not the ones that actually change the colors so far. It also requires red. Is there a ladder on this side? Nope. Okay, so standing there gets me there. It's pretty manageable because I just have to look at myself. There, I'm me. Ta-da! There's a blue. Okay, so to finish the level, I need to get the blue beam over here, which means I probably need to get the red beam over there first to get that connector. And that blue beam has to go from there, which you might be able to do via the fan if you carry the beam, the connector up there. Here's another chance for that. So if I take the box up here, you can probably make this float on it. And we'll all float on. Okay. We'll all float on anyway. Alright. Already we'll all float on. Don't you worry, we'll all float on. Ah. Sup? Alright, easy. I feel like there was a period of time, including the last game, where people just really liked puzzles where you... Let's see, that's probably what I do. Yeah, that should work. Are you in the way? Oh, the line of sight doesn't work out. Oh no. But yeah, it feels like around the time the last game came out, and there was just like a lot of puzzle games that had time mechanics, which is a thing that this last game had too, and feels kind of gone now. The soul is broken off. Yeah, you can't really see the ground over there. We need to get the beam from this side of the wall to that side. Floating on top of the box makes a lot of sense. Intuitively. Might technically be doable here, actually. It does work. Okay. Just need to go get the other me again. Yeah, I think that it feels like people collectively got bored of rewind puzzles. Or they just all collectively tried them out and realized, oh, there's a lot of finicky downtime involved in setting this thing up, then rewinding, then doing it again, and so on. I guess it's probably Braid's fault. Braid had a bunch of that. Braid being a game I bafflingly still haven't covered, honestly. Given the role that the Witness played. It's weird that I never covered Braid. I have played it before, but it's been so long since it came out that it's not like I remember the puzzle solutions. It just really is one of those cases where there are just infinite projects to work on at all times, so you can just sit there and not get around to them forever. The graphical glitch is getting so much worse, oh my god. Okay. And it's just happening to me, I think. I'm a bit behind on these, not this tab, I don't think. Preliminary analysis results RE the particle clouds. Melville. Imagine an ant trying to make sense of a nuclear power plant. An armadillo trying to explain disco music. You get my drift. These particle clouds contradict every known law of physics. What's really shocking here isn't that we're seeing a new and powerful technology. It's that this implies that our grasp of physics... It's what this implies about our grasp of physics. A lot of what we thought we knew must be wrong or incomplete on some fundamental level. A humbling realization. I don't like it. Yakut. Inside the megastructure. The system that runs all tech on the island. From the degree to which vegetation seems to have spread, I would guess the megastructure has been abandoned for a while, although the combination of moisture and heat does create an ideal environment for plant growth, which makes it hard to be sure. What makes it hard to be sure is that some plants have clearly been placed for decorative purposes, so a lot of what we're seeing may have spread from there rather than coming in from the outside. It's surprisingly beautiful, also kind of creepy. Spectacular. I don't understand what possible function this structure could have, but it's really, really impressive. Hold on. Could that be its function? Just to be impressive? Maybe. Minds and Bodies. Experimenting with the Mind Transfer Body Replication Tech by Melville. The founder appears to have developed a technology that prints new bodies. Using those particle clouds we're familiar with. These bodies come with a protocol for instantly transferring the user's mind. I cannot sufficiently underline how mad this is. The implications would be breathtaking. If we breathed. There seems to be a number of safeguards, so far I've not been able to get this tech to work outside the puzzles. I did manage to sort of make sense of the mind transfer protocol, however, and I'll be uploading this data I've collected. It will need to be studied extensively before it can be used, but I think I can think of a lot of potential applications. What really grinds my gears, though, is how casually it's all deployed. It takes us ages to make a new body, and here there's a bunch of them doing no more than holding up platforms or standing on pressure plates. Is this all a joke? Is there another new one in here? Maybe not there? Oh yeah, this is what I came here looking for. C-A-T. So A is at the bottom with these two structures down there. Let's get a vantage point. Oh.
I wonder what it was like when the ancients were still here. Their world seems so lively.
Not always in a good way. Interesting times are great to read about, but rarely great to experience.
That's true. But they left behind so much art and philosophy and religion, and so many strange stories. Is New Jerusalem like that?
It was, in the beginning.
In the beginning. But then we got really boring. Oh. These seem to be the two structures on the map. So there should be buttons somewhere behind them. Here it is. Oh, this is the A. A. Then T is down there, C is over there. What worries me is... Oh. Okay. Pattern is already solved. You hear it then, folks. I was just about to explain how worried I am, because whenever there's a binary input system and you're supposed to make a shape with it, there's always the question of whether or not you're supposed to make the positive or negative space, or whether the inputs are the ones sticking out or the ones that are pushed in, and so on. There are mutually exclusive interpretations you can make, which sucks, because if you're wrong, you then get to just go to all of the inputs again and reverse all of them, just to see if you were right about what the password was, but wrong about how the input is read. And you can kind of spend a lot of time just bouncing back and forth there before you even get the chance to then go back and try a different thing if your interpretation of the password is wrong. So it feels a little goofy for the game to just be like, you did it, you won. But it does remove that ambiguity, so now I don't have to worry. And instead I've spent half this walk explaining a hypothetical concept instead of the actual stakes, because they weren't there. So we're spelling cat, because they're all cat people. This may not be the right place. I don't know, it felt about right because it's just all the way out here, but maybe too far out? Going by the last location-based thing I had to do with the statue, we can probably safely assume that they're going to be nice and put the input at a landmark. It should be on this building. This must be the wrong interpretation of the location. It must be a much closer building. Which, fair enough. Every day we're hustling, hustling, hustling. Follow-up concern. Where is his sprite I'm supposed to follow? We're given a vague direction, but it's hard to work with that when his statue's so far out there and basically just pointing back at the rest of the civilization. Oh, you know, it's somewhere in there. Or whatever. Good luck. Maybe I'll finish the bridge just to make sure it's not there. Going by the map, it feels like it might be the one that's upstairs. I found it noteworthy that I worried how I was going to put an A into one of these things because they're 3x3. And then I got to that one, and the one for the A is 3x4, so... Womp. I like the episode where he runs in the snow for a long time. Probably been here before. Modernity. Ta-da! Now you run all the way back to the place it generated, which isn't there. Is there a zoom button? So he was pointing back over here. I think I'm going to solve the Tetris bridges and maybe even talk to the person just to see if we find his sprite in the process. And then I also need to go climb the mountain back to the one that just sent me on this clue in the first place to actually collect the star. That might be the sprite. There it is. I didn't see where it went. It's hiding inside the level now. We have to resolve this level, buddy. Okay. The music got all quiet because I took too long. You took too long. Now your candy's gone. That's what happened. Onward! Come back! No, don't go in the puzzle. Behind the puzzle, sneakily. Go, 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 go. I've got a star.
We cannot return to the past, but the future can redeem all that has happened.
Ah. My organs. Speaking of the episode where we ran in the snow for a long time. Now I run all the way to the other statue that I've also already solved, but it's all the way over there. And then I run all the way back to the bridge, and then we're done with this level, I think. And I will have done a good job, and I don't see a question mark on my compass, I don't think. Look at me go. Nope. That's the challenge, not the statue. You guys are being a bit more of a pain in the ass than back when you were just kind of hanging out in the middle of the woods.
If the fool persisted in his foolishness, would he become wise?
I'll become stubborn. That's fun. Hello.
Hello, 1K.
What do you think about Miranda's idea that it's our duty to spread life?
Our ancestors thought they could introduce new species to existing ecosystems, and it never turned out well.
I don't think that applies to places where there is no life, like other planets.
There's no life there now, but you can't see the future. You might be wiping out a whole ecosystem that hasn't even gotten started yet.
That's all. I imagine my monitor is doing the mess that's happening to me right now. So as soon as this episode's over, I'm going to fully power cycle everything and hope for the best. Well, this seems really relatively restricted. Not much else can fit in that shape. Oh, the positive direction's over there. Yeah. Oh, it's over there again. Damn. Get us out of these walls. Okay. We made it. That was just one old big old super bridge. That was the hardest one so far, and that, like, not really hard, but it definitely was wrong the most for the longest. So is it going to be the same two characters alternating or something new? The Sphinx.
For tricking the gods to help humankind, Prometheus was punished by being bound to a rock, there to be eternally tormented. The chains that held him were forged by Hephaestus, blacksmith to the gods. Was Hephaestus right to allow his art to be used in this fashion?
You could say yes, he was. No, no one should be changed. Yes, it was his duty to obey the father of the gods. If Hephaestus thought the punishment unjust, he should have refused. Hephaestus only forged the chains. It was Zeus who bound Prometheus. How about you just cut to the cryptic nonsense and tell me if Athena's here? If Hephaestus thought the punishment unjust, he should have refused.
And why was it for lowly, lame Hephaestus to make this choice, and not mighty Zeus?
The lame and lowly are no less wise than the mighty. The creator is responsible for his creation. Everyone wants to make a choice. The creator ought to have control over his creation. The lame and the lowly are no less wise than the mighty. Fuck Zeus.
Remains to be seen. As you continue your journey to the flame, remember Hephaestus and the burdens of the blacksmith.
The real answer is fuck Zeus? Who cares about Zeus? Who values Zeus's opinion and anything? I don't think that's...
The pattern is holding. Solve the puzzles, enter the tower, speak to an entity, turn on the beam. It's like she's appealing to our past, reminding us of where we came from, but changing enough elements to make us view our history through a different lens. Or maybe I'm completely missing the point. I don't know.
You might have something there.
I read about this in a book. It's called defamiliarization.
Yakut? I think I'm actually impressed.
Isn't that the premise of science fiction to an extent? Having you removing familiarity from something so that you can then reassess it and its ideas by re-expressing the same ideas in a different aesthetic or context. Ta-da! Yeah, I don't think it's an especially controversial point in modern year to be like, you know what? I don't think Zeus was really a source of wisdom or good vibes or even good ideas. He just ran things, which isn't the same thing.